And last but not least, let's just go run down through SmackDown. I enjoyed this episode of SmackDown. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Opening match was AJ Styles defending the IC title against Gran Metalik. Richard, thoughts on the opening match?
Wow.
And flashbacks of like the X Division, right?
Yeah. You have AJ Styles and a guy who's been in a kind of a comedy gimmick since he's been on the main roster, and they give you that, and it's like, my God, like just tremendous.
He's a hidden talent, a hidden gem for WWE. I heard like once Gran Metalik signed, like a lot of people were happy. Like he's like a big get for them.
Oh yeah, I mean he did New Japan, and he's been a big star in Mexico, and he is a big get for them. Which is funny because I remember a few years ago hearing how WWE didn't know who to get in Mexico because they wanted people that don't do drugs and don't have a criminal background. And now they've got all these fucking fantastic luchadors there. So good on them.
Yeah. And the other thing too, and shout out to Solid Monster. I was listening to him the other day, and if you notice, like a lot of these guys in the last couple weeks getting some big matches or opportunities are all guys that Daniel Bryan, what was it, back in June, I want to say, remember the whole Jeff Hardy accused of running over Elias, and they were all in the locker room, and like Daniel Bryan was like pointing at all these different guys who deserve a title shot or an opportunity at the IC title. All those guys at one point or another in the last few weeks have been getting some good matches. So it makes you kind of wonder if it's true that Daniel Bryan is help writing for the creative team for SmackDown, because those guys that he referenced in that backstage segment are the ones he's are getting pushes right now. So just connect the dots right there. But yeah, an awesome match. Like you said, just flashbacks of the X Division from AJ Styles TNA days. And
or WCW days, starting off the show with cruiserweight, quote unquote, talent. With just a really long, high-flying, great match. Yeah. And then we saw backstage Chad Gable watching on. King Corbin came up to him and just pretty much said, like that could be you out there. Like, I could help you. And he's like, what? You don't like each other, and you always make fun of me. And I'm surprised they did not reference the King of the Ring tournament last year, like those great matches they had together. Just, they do have history together. But nonetheless, he brought up the King's Ransom and pretty much asked Chad Gable to take out Matt Riddle, and he'll pay him a good amount of money. So that was just a little teaser there. And then later on the night, Corbin had a match with Drew Gulak, and sure enough, Matt Riddle came out at the end, and then Chad Gable came out surprised and beat up Matt Riddle. And all of a sudden, we see the two of them, Corbin and Chad Gable, walking out together and rubbing their fingers together like, money signal. Richard, thoughts on Chad Gable pretty much look like turning heel and aligning himself with King Corbin now? I'm totally into it because the last time we really saw Chad Gable, aside from last week's SmackDown, but like in a prominent spot, was at their last Saudi show when he was on Team Hogan. So I'm into it. I think it's probably a little overdue that he had a heel turn, and because he's stellar. We saw him in San Francisco when they came the last time, remember? And he and Corbin actually. And that was the best match of the night.
Well, also, I mean, I'm just thinking, okay, well, this heel turn, I'm all for it if it just gets him on TV more often. He's such an amazing...
And a name change.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, Tommy, do you think Chad Gable, or excuse me, Shorty G is due for a name change back to Chad Gable?
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe with this heel turn, he can drop the Shorty G, maybe drop the whole basketball uniform outfit that he wears.
Go back to being like a wrestler, just
traditional wrestler.
Traditional wrestler. Just be like a mini Kurt Angle.
Yeah, exactly. He's a former Olympian. Let him, as a heel, maybe start delivering these banger matches and just athleticism, showing it all off. So I'm all for that. And then going back to our conversation last week, it looked like Big E was going to start a big singles run. This week, he had his first match by himself, taking on friend of the show, The Miz. And Big E with a big victory over The Miz. So, Richard, thoughts on Well, it looks like the beginning of a nice run for Big E.
It was more than a nice match. It was very, very good, and they told a great story. Yeah. So I'll say more about this after we finish SmackDown.
Okay. All right.
A little teaser there. I think you know where I'm going.
Okay, right on. And then we saw the happy couple that we haven't seen in a long time, actually. Mandy Rose and Otis. They were planning a night out. Oh, yeah. Eat some dinner. And Mandy says, I'll be right back. She's going to go refresh herself. And then we see Sonya Deville following her. And sure enough, attacks her. Puts makeup all over her face. Cuts her hair. Just beat her. Which I was like, okay, this segment should have been done in a barber shop. I'm just saying, get Brutus Barber Beefcake.
I just want to know if Mandy's okay.
I think she's okay. You can wipe away
Someone
the makeup.
should check up on her.
Yes, Otis says, oh yeah, my peach. So, but I was like, this should have been done in a barber's shop and like
a salon.
Sonya Deville could have thrown Mandy through the glass, and I was going to say, Corey Graves could say she's a coward for running out or something. I don't know. Just great callback to Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. But anyway, great segment. And it shows Sonya Deville as a heel is awesome. I'm kind of surprised it took a while for them to get back on track, because we thought the storyline was kind of dead in the water because they weren't on TV for a long time, but I guess they're going to reignite the two of them. And I just laughed. Miz and Morrison, the next break, when Kayla Braxton was checking in on him, giving like an update, and they're doing all these like haircut references, and Miz, and then Morrison, like you could tell he was smirking. So it was like, was it Send for the Man? So I was
corpsing.
He was corpsing, like he started laughing. So I enjoyed that segment. So it made me smile, even though at the expense of Mandy Rose and now her new terrible haircut. So, and then last but not least was the main event. Nikki Cross challenging Bayley one more time for the Women's SmackDown Championship. She lost, very upset. Alexa Bliss came in the ring to help out her friend. Nikki Cross was upset and just pushed Alexa Bliss to the side and ran out of the ring. Alexa Bliss sitting in the ring, and sure enough, the lights start going out. All of a sudden, we see the Fiend in the ring, and he's like a monster in a scary movie, like just hovering around his prey. And then sure enough, starts putting his fingers, the mandible claw, down her throat, and starts choking her out. And that was the end of SmackDown. So, Richard, thoughts on the Fiend going after, which we assume is probably because it's Braun Strowman's crush, Alexa Bliss.
All the times we've seen the Fiend pop up and do something like this, did anyone sell it better than Alexa Bliss?
Yeah, looking scared.
She looked legitimately, because if you follow her anywhere, she loves Disney and Disney princesses and stuff. She sold this like she did not want to be in there. Like she was uncomfortable with this, and that she was terrified of the Fiend.
Like she just saw Michael Myers.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
She genuinely looked like she was frozen with fear.
I loved it too.
I thought that was probably the best thing I saw on TV all week.
Yeah. So I loved it too. Yeah. It just, and I think it goes back to the Swamp match, even though we weren't fans of it. The one of the takeaways from it was I guess you say the Fiend using his magic to kind of get into Braun's head. And with that, we find out that Braun, I guess, has a crush on Alexa Bliss, going back to their time in the mixed tag challenge. And
it's a simp for her.
Yeah. So I think now that the Fiend knows that, he went to go target her. And that's a way of getting at Braun Strowman. It's like, I'm going to go after your crush now. I'm going to attack her. And here's
everyone's crush.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing real quick. And I know we were kind of, poo-pooing on the Swamp match and stuff, and rightfully so. It wasn't that great. But I'm trying to follow along the story here. You have Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman. They used to be a team with the Wyatt family. Braun's now the Universal Champion. Bray wants that. He's going after him. Lost to him at Money in the Bank, right? And then now it's just Bray Wyatt. Then they have the Swamp match, and he's like trying to get Braun back to his roots, and he goes back to his old Bray Wyatt, the cult leader gimmick, and it's a Swamp match, and he's trying to get into his head. And Braun, we didn't really talk about this before, but that promo before that Extreme Rules match, Braun says, like, of course he wants to beat Bray. He says he needs to, because if he loses, then the Fiend is going to be unleashed. So he just feels the pressure of, like, if I don't take out Bray Wyatt right now, the Fiend is going to come out. And then even Bray Wyatt in his promos was like, if I win here, yeah, the Fiend's going to be unleashed and coming out. So Braun as the babyface here, he's really just trying to, like, protect the WWE universe, the roster, SmackDown roster, from the Fiend coming out. Unfortunately, he lost, and now we see the Fiend, as we saw in the promo. Bray Wyatt early in the show was like, he's here now, he's coming back now, and no one's safe here. And so I think they're just trying to reestablish the Fiend as this big threat to the entire SmackDown roster, that no one's safe, and now he's going to be taking part people. So first victim in this unleashing was Alexa Bliss, because now we know that's Braun Strowman's crush. So I'm trying to follow along the storyline here and just, really get on board with it. So that's why I'm like, okay, cool. So maybe this is the rebuilding process of the Fiend, because it's had a bumpy ride with Seth Rollins and Saudi Arabia and Goldberg. Like, they kind of really, that's a whole
it's all the in-ring stuff that kind of falls to the wayside.
Yeah.
It's like the character and the build-up for everything. I mean, that's kind of the story of Bray Wyatt's career, though. So it's kind of like,
as far as the in-ring performance.
Well, no, the build-up is always just so superb. They do such a good job with Bray that it's hard to give you a match that meets that expectation.
Yeah. So I maybe we can do a whole episode of just looking back on the last year of the Fiend's existence, because he debuted last SummerSlam, right? If I remember correctly, it's Finn Balor. So we can just a year in review. Was it a bust? Did it work? I mean, maybe we could do it as a bonus episode one week, or not. Just maybe wait till after SummerSlam how it plays out. So it looks like they're gonna have one more match. My guess is the Fiend's probably going to win the championship there and get it back, and kind of a little course correction for losing it earlier this year to Goldberg when he shouldn't have. So it's going to be exciting. I enjoyed this episode of SmackDown.